Chuck Leonard. I'm the Senior Tool and Equipment Specialist for Autopart International. I currently cover 147 stores across the Northeast, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Dan Whitaker here to my left. Dan is new to our company. Dan's going to pick up the Ohio, Pennsylvania, and the upstate New York territory. He's going to take that away from me and give me some relief. I'll continue with Albany up to Bangor, Maine. So that'll be my area. So here's a little pamphlet we have about the 906TS and the collision software that you can take with you for a little reading material as we go through the tool. The 906TS is the only tool on the market that is currently offered that has basic diagnostic software, live data, graphics, and a complete built-in TPMS tool. Nobody else currently offers this. Autel has had it on the market now for about 2.5 years, and just recently, within the last 6-7 months, they added in the collision software, which when they went out to the insurance companies to ask what kind of information and data that they were looking for the pre-scan and post-scan. Pre-scan and post-scan came about when the United States adapted the ADAS system. So what had happened when the ADAS system was developed, and we brought it over from Europe in 2012, it was when you bought a new car and had it built, you had the option to add some of those features in. Later on, 15, 16, 17, it's now a standard option. The insurance companies had said to the government, to the manufacturers, we have way too many claims. We're paying out way too much money. So what can we do in order not to pay out so much money in these claims? So that's where the ADAS was adopted. So as it come over, cars were getting in collisions, going in for repair. Body shops were body guys, they're suspension guys, they're not diagnostic guys. So what was happening in the market, they would make the car look all new and pretty again and turn it back out to the customer. The customer would call the insurance company and file a complaint that, hey, my car is not the same. These features don't work like they worked when the car was new or prior to the collision. So they started to do the research to find out, hey, we've got to start scanning these cars because they have these automatic driver systems in the cars that go at fault during an accident or after an accident, and they need to be recalibrated. So the body shop would make it all nice and pretty and clean, and there's no lights on the dashboard, and turn it to the customer, and now all of a sudden, you know, they're complaining. So during the post-scan, you would now find fault codes for ADAS, or automatic driver assisted systems. So these systems needed to be repaired. So that's where your post-scan come from, and your pre-scan and your post-scan come from is from the insurance company saying, hey, we now have to scan these cars. So as a collision repair or somebody that does work for insurance companies, you can get paid for pre-scan and post-scan. You just need to have your documentation that says, hey, I scanned this car before I started to work on it, and I scanned this car after I worked onto it. So what I'm going to pass out to you, this is an actual pre-scan post-scan that I did on a 2018 Toyota Corolla at the end of October. So you'll see down the side here the components. You'll see where the ADAS failed, and it says pre-scan, and then when you flip it up, you'll get your post-scan, and you'll see where they now pass. So this is your proof of eligibility that, hey, I should get paid for my pre-scan and post-scan. It was at fault, I corrected it, and the car is now ready to go. So in this particular case, I was in Delaware. The insurance adjuster was there, wanted to see how the system worked. So he paid at that time, he paid, I think it was $95 for the pre-scan, paid $95 for the post-scan. We calibrated the front camera or lane departure warning, lane keep assist. We programmed the front radar, which is your ACC or your adaptive cruise control, and the adjuster wrote the check for $250 for each module. So we got $250 twice, and we got the $95 twice, all off of this little piece of paper. So if you're curious of what the pre-scan, post-scan looks like, this is a report that I took from October 30th. When you do your pre-scan, post-scan, if your time and date is correct in your scanner, it will timestamp your reports. You do have the ability, and you'll see that when we go to do a scan, to add 5 pictures on the pre-scan and 5 pictures on the post-scan. So if the car's coming in from a collision shop and you are a calibration center, which by the way is starting to pop up quite a bit. I'm starting to see a lot of those. I'm starting to sell a lot of these systems to guys who are creating these calibration centers. So you can add the 5 pictures, take pictures of the side front car, take a picture of the dashboard, the odometer, and add those into this report. And they print right along. During the report, you'll see a spot in there that says technician's notes. Inside the software, the technician wants to make any type of notes. It's just like typing on a PC or on a tablet. The keyboard comes up and all of the notes are put onto the report. The good thing in this report is after you are done with the report, it goes off to the Autel cloud. 6 months from now, the car comes back to you and they said, hey, this is not right. This didn't work, or this isn't happening. You have the ability through your scanner or through a PC, you can go to the Autel cloud and you can pull that file. And everything that is on that report that you printed is what sits up there in the cloud. So you have instant access back to that report that is dated and timestamped as to when it left, and you'll have the ability to see, hey, I calibrated your ACC or your ICC or your LDW or your LKA. You know, they all do the same purpose, but for some reason every manufacturer's got to give it a different name or different letters or numbers. And so ACC, adaptive cruise control, is ICC for Nissan. You know, lane keep assist, lane departure warning, it's all the same thing. It's a camera that's in the windshield. Replace the windshield, you got to recalibrate the camera. You pull the bumper off in the front and you unplug the module, you got to recalibrate the radar. Pull the rear bumper off and you got an Audi and you got a rear collision system, you got to recalibrate it. You pull the side panel off and you unplug the lane departure or the lane, blind spot indicator, that's what it takes. Blind spot indicators, which are in the rear quarters. You got to recalibrate those. 360, which is a new one, or Subaru eyesight. You got a little off of the mirror, it's a little bit of camera that sees everything around you. Pull that mirror off to blend the paint, guess what? You got to recalibrate it. You pull the door off, you pull that mirror off, you got to recalibrate it. It isn't a plug and play where they recalibrate themselves. Some manufacturers, Kia for blind spot indicators, is a dynamic. You have to drive it down the road, take your scan tool, activate the software. You're doing a certain distance, and it will recalibrate itself. General Motors, lane keep assist, the same thing. You got to drive down the road at a certain miles per hour. You got to activate the software, and it will calibrate itself. So you've got some which are target systems, which you'll get to see tonight, and you have some that are dynamics where you activate the software and drive it down the road.
Does it let you know that?
I'm sorry?
Does that let you know that?
Yes, yeah. You cannot do calibrations with this, okay? Where there's a lot of things you can do with this, and we're going to go through that. But if you're going to run the calibration frame that you see in front of the car, you've got to run one of their bigger models. And you can't run it with a 906 TS. So the 906 TS, like I said, is a basic diagnostic scan tool. And it is a complete, it is a complete TPMS module. So what's TV remote? It's underneath that 906.
So even though it won't calibrate, will it let you know if this is auto calibration? Will it be a fault code that that reads?
It will. Okay. It will, and we can grab that and plug that one in because we're gonna scan that car here, and you'll be able to see where it'll fix that up.
How long is it stored in the cloud?
Forever. It'll store it on your machine until you delete or erase the data in the machine. So what's going to happen at some point in the life of your machine is that there is an internal SD card that is 32 gigs. At some point, that is going to become full. And you're going to have to erase the information on your machine in order to be able to perform more updates. Okay? All you're doing is erasing it from the machine, you're not erasing it from the cloud. So if it's 2 years later and somebody wants to say, hey, it was part of when you repaired it, you can go back to the cloud 2 years later and pull your information. You'll get a login for the cloud and the password for the cloud, and that is issued to you from Autel. So here is our 906TS. This is the basic format for all Autel diagnostic tools that work on an Android operating system. We have diagnostic, we have TPMS because this has the TPMS module built into it, and we have service. They're the three main icons that you'll use. The one that I want to start with is the service icon, and why this little tool is inexpensive as it is a great tool. So if we go to service, you'll see here, built into this machine is oil life reset through 2019. If it is an OBD2 plug and play, you'll be able to turn the oil light off and the maintenance light off through the OBD2 port. If it is a Scion where it's got to turn the key and hold down the mileage reset, it'll give you step-by-step as to what to do and how to reset the oil light or the maintenance light all within the machine. EPB, electronic power brake. So you guys that are doing service, you pull in a 14 Fusion, you pull in a 14 GM, you pull in a 15 Subaru, or you pull in a Volvo, or you pull in a Mercedes-Benz, or an Audi, and you got the rear electronic calipers. This is the software to retract the pressure from the rear calipers so that you can change the brake pads. I get a lot of phone calls. I deactivated the software. Now what do I do? Because it didn't move. It's not going to move. You got to screw it in. Okay? It's a manual process. Screw the piston in, replace your rotor, replace your brake pads. When you are in this software and it says activate, it will automatically screw that piston out to the desired depth. Okay, so guys, get used to seeing that screw itself out, but it won't pull itself back in. You have to manually screw it in. So I get a lot of phone calls about that.
Old Chevys.
What's that?
Old Chevy calipers.
14 and newer.
Screws back in like aluminum, is what you're at.
Where you go to do the regeneration. Here's the big one that everybody likes is this key fob, key immobilizers. 2003 to 2013, Asian and Mexican, no European. And you can't do anything after 2013 because it's required to have a locksmith ID. Okay, so if you go to the auction or you're a used car lot or used car guy, and you go to the auction and you got one key, and it's between an 03 and a 13, Honda, Toyota, Nissan, you got a blank, you can program the blank with this software. Basically what it does is you'll go into it, it'll give you a security warning, you hit OK, you'll have a known good key inside the ignition, you'll hit go, there's a blue bar that will come across, you've got 7 seconds to get the known good key out and the blank key in order for it to program. If you don't do it within the 7 seconds, it'll say key program failed, try again. Take the blank out, put the known good key in, and then try again. It will not program lock cylinders. So if you replace a lock cylinder, that is a J2534 pass-through function, you need to have a program from the OEM manufacturer. You'll have to buy a download subscription and then buy a key pass-through program. Fuel injection relearn. Steering angle sensor relearn. So a lot of times when the vehicle is in an accident, it's going to set a fault code for a steering angle sensor. You can reset your steering angle sensor through the scan tool. Air suspension, so if you got a Cadillac and you got to put a rear module in or a rear air suspension in and you got to reprogram it. Throttle body relearn. That one is a little tricky because it tells you to hold the throttle wide open, and all of a sudden you watch them RPMs creep to about 6,000, and all of a sudden the computer will catch it, and then you go, and then it actually does the relearn. So the first few that I did, and you're watching that needle peg, it's like, come on, I'm going to blow the motor up. Here's one that's windows, regulators, window switches, and moonroofs. Okay, so if you put a window, you get hit in the door, and you got to put a window regulator into it, or the window regulator goes bad. Here's your program to go program that window regulator or the master power switch. or one of the other accessory switches, or the moonroof. Power seats, you got to replace a power seat, put a new power seat in. You can program your power seats through this tool. Off to page 3, headlights. So you now have a sealed beam and you need to program the headlight. I can tell you with the headlight, you cannot do it on a Bluetooth. It won't allow you because it goes to the cloud and it pulls the information. You have to be cabled into your little OBD2 plug.
Chuck, will that do the Porsche tracking headlights?
So the adaptive cruise, no. You need the calibration frame and well, not the calibration, you need the ADAS software in order to be able to do that. This is if you're just replacing.
I know when you pull the light out and it automatically disconnects.
Yep.
And then it throws a SAS code as well for the headlight, for the tracking and everything. So you need the ADAS software for that.
You want to grab me at 12+8? Change tire size. This used to be GM only. It's now GM, Ford. Let's see if I can click on it here. So now we got GM, Ford, and Saab. So what this gives you the opportunity to do, if you got somebody that pulls in with a pickup truck. Now when I was first starting to drive, the cool thing was to go from a 235 75 15 to a 31 10 50 because you wanted that big fat tire. Well today what this allows you to do is pick a selected approved tire size. And you'll pick that tire size and this will actually change the transmission shift pattern and change the odometer so that it will read correctly. So the TechLearn Transapt apps, and that's medium duty, that's UDs, and Hino vehicles. And then here's your airbag reset. So you can do the airbag reset, and this machine is not updated. There's a new icon out there for airbag relearn. So you don't put a module in, you put an airbag in, and you need to relearn. So there's 2 or 3 other icons. This machine is just not updated to the service.
Will they be, under the airbag, will they be doing occupancy as well? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't played with that function.
I think mine does show occupancy.
Let's plug this into that Elite and because that's updated. So for you guys that work on Chrysler vehicles, 2017 Fiats and then 2018 and newer Jeep Chrysler, this is what they call a 12+8 cable. So if it's a Jeep and it's an 18 and you plug into the standard OBD2 port, you're going to read codes and that is it. You're going to get no other information. You get no access to anything else because they have a gateway secured module in behind the radio. So what you're required to do is to pull the bezel off, take 4 bolts out for the radio, do not unplug the radio, the vehicle will think it's being stolen, and that's where it'll sit. Okay, take the radio and string it up to the sun visors with a bungee cord, and there sits, and you watch the YouTube video, and that's exactly what they tell you to do. Hold it up with a bungee cord, do not unplug it.
Highly technical.
The gate in the back of the gateway module, these are just push pins. Just reach in there, pop them free, take the 3 bolts out to hold the gateway module in, set it up on the dash, and plug this in. You now have full diagnostic, full bilateral control. So 2018 and newer. Do you have your list with you by chance?
No, it was 2018.
Yeah, so your Rams.
That's why.
So
Because of that cable?
Just told me about that.
Is that a new body style?
yeah, 18 and newer.
And have that cord.
That makes the new body style.
Does that come with? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 8. It started in 17 with Fiats.
But
and
we
then
don't
your
have that
Jeeps
cable?
and Chryslers.
Pre and post scan, you have to pull the radio.
I don't know.
No.
That's just if you want to get the
If
bilateral.
you want bilateral control, or you want any of the functionalities that we were talking about, and you have a 17 Fiat or an 18 Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, you need this 12+8 cable, which is not included with your machine. It's a $95 cable. Yes.
So I got an 18.
Oh, it's all on.
Jeep
Yeah, it's all.
Pulled the right door carrier plate out and everything. I was able to read a speaker disconnect code but I couldn't clear it. Is that what I needed to clear it?
Yes, sir. This is, and this, to be honest, this is an Autel cable, so I don't know if Bosch has released theirs, I don't know if Snap-on has released theirs. This was,
I have the 96. So.
oh, do you have, okay, so this, you need this cable, and they're 95 bucks.
Before you go now.
And yet, yeah. You got to pull the, there's a,
Yeah, absolutely.
if you go to YouTube and you go to Autel Tools USA and you type in 12+8, there is a very detailed YouTube video on how to remove that to use this cable.
Good.
Is there going to be we get one, is there going to be updated information letting you know
So,
new stuff like that you're going to need to add
so in
to this?
with your unit,
Like if you're getting a 906 from you, will that come with the 906 or will it be an additional purchase on top of it?
it'll be an additional purchase. These are not included in any of their units. It's a new release. Same with the, if you do BMW and the newer BMW with the Cat 5 cable, that's also another cable. It's called the BMW Cat 5 cable in order to do OEM programming from the Elite or Pro head unit.
And what's that called?
It's a BMW Cat 5 cable. So what it is, you have this plug, and then you have another, and then you have a Cat 5 cable, and you run a Cat 5 cable out of the plug, and you loop it back to your unit with a USB Cat 5 connector. And a BMW is flashed in a closed loop. So with the Elite, if we have a BMW, you need to put it into a closed loop with a USB Cat 5 and a Cat 5 BMW cable in order to flash it.
Wow.
So if you buy the Elite, that is a feature. You get the Cat 5 cable with it. You'll get the USB Cat 5 connector with it. You get all the programming for BMW flashing. You get it for Mini. You get it for Volkswagen. You get it for Audi, and you get it for Mercedes-Benz. So that's part of the package with the Elite. So that is advanced diagnostics, where this is basic diagnostics. That's really the big difference. Yes, sir.
Would that allow you to program the adaptive headlights? Like when they
Yes.
replace a headlight?
Yes.
And it needs to be aimed or calibrated, however BMW terms that?
Yes.
Will you need the Cat 5 cable to do that, so you have it bidirectional, or?
If it is 16 or newer,
Yep.
if it is 16 or older, you're going to use, will you grab me that red cable out of there? You'll use a standard OBD2 plug. And
Out of here?
any one of them.
Okay.
They all have it. The USB to the J2534, you must turn off the Bluetooth in your Elite in order to perform that function. Because what it's doing, it's going out to the Autel cloud, it's pulling the calibration, okay, and it will not pass it through on a Bluetooth. You don't have a full loop. You've got your loop, you're cabled from your head unit to the J2534, which then plugs into the OBD2. Okay, if you do not turn off your Bluetooth, your calibration will fail. So when the code comes up before you do the calibration, it'll actually tell you, you need to be cabled in and you need to go get this cable and you need to turn off your Bluetooth.
It'll walk you through it.
So your newer BMWs and stuff, you'll still be able to do the pre and post scan with the 906. Will you be able to clear fault codes as long as nothing needs to be relearned?
Yeah. Yeah, you can clear, you'll be able to do your live data, you'll do your captions, you can clear codes, read codes. It's a basic diagnostics. You're not going to get into the deep heart of the recalibrating a lot of things. What come up on the screen under service is really what you're limited to. When you get into your Pro Series or to your Elite Series, it's a whole new world of diagnostics, bilateral controls, ECU programming, TCM programming, BCM programming, you know, so it's really, it's stepping up.
Yeah, should open need the 9.
So, the other thing that the 906 TS, come on.
Well, let's see.
It gives you a complete TPMS module. Okay, so here is what we call an Autel MX1. This is a blank TPMS sensor which carries both frequencies, 315 and 433. Okay, so you no longer have to stock 6 or 8 or 10 SKUs in order to be able to get the right TPMS sensor for the vehicle. If it's the Chryslers and they got the bolt ins, there's a little metal tag here, you pull them apart, and there's a bolt-in stem, which would fit right back into here, and it now looks like a bolt-in TPMS. So it carries both frequencies. Give me your tool. So, in your tool, the ID is going to give us the megahertz, Fahrenheit, and if the battery's okay or not. Okay? So when you do your check, now, what's unique with the Autel system, you see where we have our IDs? If that ID pops up in red, okay, you'll get 2 of them that pop up in red. And basically what it's telling you is, hey, this ID is in the ECU. But it's not in the position where you scanned it. So it'll tell you as soon as you scan them, when it pops up there, whether it's in the correct position. Because when people take their car in to do a tire rotation and the guy says, hey, it's going to be 20 bucks for me to relearn your TPMS sensors, they say, nah, I ain't paying that. And they drive down the road, and then next thing you know, she pulls into your says, you know what? It says I got a left rear lobe, but I got 90 pounds in it. And the light ain't going off. And you walk around the car and the right front's got about 5 pounds in it. And that's because people rotate them and then they don't want to pay to have their TPMS relearned. So if these pop up, these IDs pop up red, it's, hey, I'm in the ECU, but I'm not in the correct position. Okay? So then over here we have programming. So under the programming mode, we can take this blank sensor, because we stick this sensor up here in the upper left where the trigger is, and then we hit auto create. It's going to go up there and it's going to find the sensor. And then you're going to see that it's blinking, and it says 1 sensor detected. We say okay, and coming across the top bar, you're going to see that that is slowly turning blue. And when we're all done, this sensor will belong to that vehicle. You can pop it in, do the relearn procedures, which we'll show you where that is. Now this sensor is now programmed. It gives you the new ID, okay? Now your shop gets busy, right? And you set this down and you're answering the phone. 20 minutes later you come back and say, oh, what did I do with that sensor? Don't worry, because they're reprogrammable. We can now program this to a BMW, we can program it to a Nissan, we can program it to a Honda. They are rewritable. It's very rare that we find one of these that are defective. It's usually the guy operating the tool that is confused and he says, the sensor's no good. It's usually not the case. So you can stock 4 of these on your shelf. You can write it to any vehicle. 98%. Some of the high-end European stuff, you know, that sells for $250,000 or $2.5 million, you know. That's not our game. We don't live in California. We don't live in Florida or Miami. And so you guys can stock these. These are $40 through your Autopart International store. You can turn around and sell it for 65, 75 bucks. If you want to buy 25 in a block, I sell it for $25 a piece. Save yourself a lot of money. So that's what I do for tire stores, guys that, you know, like Sullivan Tires, Hogan Tire. You know, if you're a tire store, you want to buy 25, I do them for $25 a piece, which is basically my cost. But again, I'm here to help you make money in your own business. So on the tool and equipment side, I don't make a lot of profit on my stuff because I know you need the tools in order to make yourself profit. So if you buy one, the store will sell it to you for 40 bucks. You buy 25, they sell them to you for 25 each. So that's the programming aspect of it. Relearn, this is where everybody makes the mistake when it comes to TPMS. You can see here that it tells you every step of the way of what you need to do in order to relearn this vehicle. And that's for all manufacturers. So if you get in a Ford, as you know, you got to set the emergency brake, and then you got to turn the key 3 times, and you hit the brake twice, and turn the key twice, and hit the brake once, and then the horn blows. Now you can go around and ski your wheels, and the horn blows for each one, and then when you turn the key off, you hope the horn don't blow, because then it took. So all of your processes for relearn are under the relearn tab in this tool. Most common mistake I see is Toyotas and Hondas. There's more of them on the road than other manufacturers, and here's what happens with a Toyota or a Honda. We put one in the car, and it says into the relearn, okay, go around and scan them all, and then take your plug and plug me into the OBD2 and hit relearn. And then the light goes out, and the guy says, oh, I'm all done. Parks the car in the parking lot. Customer says, here's your keys, you're all set. A day later, customer says, hey, my light's on. Huh? Well, bring it back and let me look at it. So he runs around and he scans all 4, and he plugs it in, hits relearn, and he says, customer, oh, you're all set. The problem is with a Toyota and a Honda, and it tells you in the relearn procedure, you scan them once, you drive the car over 19 miles an hour, certain number of miles, 8 miles or something, I forget what it is now. When you return to the shop, you're required to scan them a second time. And when you scan them a second time and you plug back in, that's actually when you rewrite the ECU. And if you don't scan them twice and plug in twice, you didn't rewrite the ECU, you didn't complete the relearn procedure, and the light's going to come back on. So this is the TPMS module. You have programming, like I said, the all-in-one sensor, 315, 433 megahertz. No need to stock 100 or 50 sensors on your shelf anymore. Don't have to worry about getting the wrong sensor because you're programming it to the car that's in front of you. The key note when you're programming these is do not put it in the wheel and air up the tire. And if you forget to program it and you've done that, you got to take the time to break it back down. Because what this sensor is designed and what we're doing when we are under the programming mode, we are programming the tire placard, which is inside the driver's door, to this sensor. And when we program the sensor, we're telling it it's got 0 pounds of pressure. So a guy puts it in, he's got 10 pounds, oh, I forgot to program. Grabs his tool, sticks it up there and programs it. Well, now what's happened? You got 10 pounds in your tire, and this says I got 0. You now got to raise that from 35, you now got to raise it to 45 in order to get the light to turn out, because it thought it was at 0 pressure when it was truly at 10. So if you forget to program it, deflate your tire, make sure that there's no air in it, because you'll chase a TPMS light. Some of the tricks of the trade, General Motors. Customer pulls in, says my TPMS light's on. You go to jump in the car, you say, oh, the window don't work. Customer said, don't worry about my window, I want my TPMS light off. The TPMS module on a General Motors is held in the driver's window regulator. If the window regulator does not work, it will turn on the TPMS light. You'll chase it all day long, and you'll never turn the light out because there's a problem in the regulator which holds the module for the TPMS. So if you're in a GM, and the window does not work, and the TPMS light is on, just know that it may not be a TPMS issue. Scan them, get your readings, see where they're at, because it'll drive you crazy. On a Honda, the TPMS module is held in the right rear tail vents. Okay? It cannot be on a rack and reset the TPMS light. It has to be on the ground. And it can't be in between the 2 posts with the legs kicked out. You've got to back it out of the rack, because when it sends the signal up, it's going to bounce off the rack and your light's not going to go out. They are the 2 most common things. Ford, here's a So this is now, we're going back, it's not in the newer models. If a customer blows a left rear brake light, no big deal. A customer blows a right rear brake light, no big deal. But if the third brake light is the last brake light to blow out, it turns the TPMS light on. So if you got a Ford and the TPMS light is on, just have somebody step on the brake light real quick. If your brake lights work, you know it's a TPMS. If the brake lights don't work, change the bulb and watch the TPMS light go out. So just...
I got a good one for you real quick, just touching on the GM. The last class we had, Audi was there. Shop had a GMC Acadia with a parking sensor out in the rear bumper. It shut down the radio, all the windows, interior lights, everything, because of that sensor being out in the back bumper. Took out the whole system, and they chased wires, they did everything on that truck. It's crazy how much electronics. I mean, the truck came in dead to the shop, they had to tow it in.
So this is your 906TS. It is basic diagnostics. It has basic bilateral control under your service function, and it has a complete TPMS function. It's a great tool. You know, we sell it at $17.99. You know, if you're to go out and buy a basic, you know, TPMS tool, you're probably gonna, Bartech right now is, depending on which model, you're between $1,400 and $1,700 just for a Bartech TPMS tool. You know, now this will read all 36 OEM sensors. It will read all 18 aftermarket sensors as long as it's programmed. It will not program a Schrader 33500. It will not program a Brown, an Eklund, an Alligator, an Orange, an Ops. It won't program it. It's only designed to program an Autel blank, but it'll read any sensor. So any car out there that has TPMS in, you can take this out there and you can scan the wheels and it'll read everybody's sensor. It just will only program their sensor. And in return, the Bartech, the OTC, the Snap-on, they will not program an Autel sensor. Your Bartech that you're paying $1,600 for will program all 18 aftermarket sensors, with the exception of this one. So they do lock you into their sensor. Like I said, we sell them at $40 a piece. You buy 25, I'll give them to you for 25 a piece. But that is the tool. How's the collision software in it? The Autel Elite, when you add the ADAS, has the collision software in it. So as we do the calibration, we're going to use the collision software in the Elite so you can see how it operates. The way it operates in this machine is the same way it operates in this machine. So there is absolutely no difference. The screens that come up on this tool, they are exactly the same. So when you scroll across on the Elite and you scroll across DCI support and Academy, they're exactly the same. There is some difference, so you do have max and scope. Well, they've updated the 906TS now, so it does have what the Elite on the main screens. So what you're getting on the main screen of this, you're getting here. Digital inspection is a borescope, comes on a 6-foot cable. I sell a lot of them to transmission shops so they can stick it up behind the bell housing to see for leaks. You can stick it down the spark plug hole and you can take a picture of the cylinder head. You can change the tip to a 45 degrees and you can look up at the head. You can change it to a magnet, so if somebody dumps something down in there, which happens on occasion, you can take the magnet down inside the head and pull that piece of metal or whatever as long as it's magnetized, it'll come out of there. Remote diagnostics. If you are buddy-buddy with your buddy down the road, his tool will have remote diagnostics. You can tie the two tools together and you can help each other do diagnostics without going over there. Support is Autel support on Long Island, New York. You can click into the, type of Wi-Fi. Click on support and it will actually open up. You go into complaint and you can text message back and forth with Autel on Long Island. That's where their corporate office is. VCI manager just tells you what VCI you're connected to. And then you can see here, there's 103 updates available on this unit. Hasn't been out of the box in a day or two, but that's how you do your updates. You quickly click on the icon, the update screen will load.
To be clear for everybody, the DCI is actually what they're plugging into the OBD port.
Yep, that's your Wi-Fi.
Jimmy, the description.
What's that?
The scope, you don't have any.
I don't have one of these. No, I don't.
That truck's jammed full of stuff. Is there?
I got one.
Here's, in your update screen, this is what's important for you guys. You can see here, this was released 3/13/19, so it'll tell you the date that they're released. If you hit the I on the screen, it actually will come up and it'll tell you what's in that update. So data logging is used when you're performing diagnostics if you turn the function on. What data logging does, if you think you've got a problem with a machine or you don't understand something with the software, as soon as you hit end, that file is zipped off to Autel on Long Island. Somebody is there to read your file and look at your report. Okay, Autel takes all these reports that are sent in from all of the users, from all of the units, and that's what determines what next for an update. So this area may see one common thing, and the next, Albany may see something else that is different. So send your data logs in, especially if you get to a function that says, oh, I'm not supported. That's because it's not supported. But if you need that support, you send that data log in, and that's how they determine what's coming for updates. So you can have a hand in what's coming for updates.
So it's constantly updating all year long? And then how much is your yearly subscription for an update?
There is. So this is how updates work. From your, just skip over here. From your registration date. So this registration date was May 5th of 2017. And then it'll tell me that my subscription is going to expire May 5th of 18. Okay? So what happens is that's my year. And all the updates come automatically. And you hit the update button when you want to perform the updates. After that subscription, that expires. This tool, to update this tool, is $795. And it gives you another year on your subscription. Okay? What it does when you buy the update from Autopart International, we give you an additional year warranty on your head and your components. So if your J-Box decides to go south, your V100 goes south, or your battery goes south, or something happens internally in the machine, the motherboard goes bad, we cover it 100%. We don't cover cracked screens.
So as long as you're paying for the update, it's...
That warranty is free to you. You can buy your update from Autel online. Okay? Everybody sells them for the same price. If you want the additional warranty, they're going to charge you $100. I give you the additional warranty for buying the update from me. The Elite, the Pro Series, the Commercial Vehicle Series, they are $1,295 a year. I give you the additional year warranty and no charge. If you buy your Elite, Pro, or Commercial Vehicle during October, November, or December, the last quarter of the year, I sell them to you for $1,000, which is my cost. I do it the last part of the year. Everybody's looking for Section 179 tax write-off money. It'll save you $300. You get the warranty and 1 year update for $1,000.
And if you have 3 months left, you tack on your 3 months, so you now have 15 months. You don't lose it.
Good. So that's how the updates work. Now, we're not Snap-on that comes to you and says, well, you didn't pay for the last 6 months, and that's $1,200, so now you owe me $600. And you want the new 6 months, so that's $1,200, so now you owe me $1,800. We don't work that way. If you skip 6 months, 8 months, or even a year, I'll sell it to you for the same price, and I'll give you the additional year warranty. So what happens a lot, a guy will call me up and he said, you know what, I expired 12 months ago, 14 months ago, my battery went south. I got to keep it plugged into the wall in order to use it. I said, okay, buy an update from me. Here's the cost of your update. Once you sign the update and you put it in your tool, that gives you a 1-year warranty. We're going to replace the battery free of charge.
And it's still $795 for the update. And
Absolutely.
that brings you right back up to current.
Absolutely.
Even though we skipped a year.
You get everything back and everything going forward for the next year. We do not charge you for missed data. We just give it to you as part of it. And we give you the warranty, although your machine has not been under warranty for the last whatever you mentioned. So that's what Autopart International does for their customers. Okay? Any questions on the 906TS? Why don't we take a quick break? Restrooms in the corner. We'll get set up. We'll start to work on the calibration frame, show you how to calibrate vehicles. A little bit, we'll go over the calibration frame, and then what we'll do is when we get into the software, you'll kind of want to watch the TV so that you can see what the software looks like, how the software is designed. The targets that you see around the room, over here in the boxes, there's a series number of targets. Everything that's available for the automatic driver assistance system, I do not have with me. There's a new release of the Subaru target, which is the same size as this Mitsubishi, or not Mitsubishi, Mercedes Volkswagen target. So it's a big target. There's another calibration T-bar back here that we will actually be using. So what I'm going to do is there's some equipment sitting here along the floor. I'm going to explain to you what it is and kind of what it goes to, and there's the pamphlet. Inside the pamphlet you will see there is a page of targets. That is the initial targets with the board. The second page of targets is the new release, and then the targets that I don't have with me. So this is the calibration frame. The calibration frame weighs about 86 pounds. It will slide left, it will slide right, it will twist right, it will twist left. And that's so that we can take this calibration frame and square it to the vehicle before we do a calibration. The big board that you see up here on the top of the board is your Volkswagen Mercedes board. These, this tube here, and this tube here, these are the boxes that sit alongside the wall over there that we didn't open up. These are all labeled as to what they are. This one here happens to be Kia and Hyundai lane departure warnings. And these are mats that you would roll out. And this is a magnetic board. And it allows this board to now become your Kia Hyundai board. The box or the roll that Dan has in his hand, when you go through the paperwork and you're looking at it, that is Nissan. What is it? I think it's Nissan. That's what I took out of the box. They run parallel to the car. So when you're doing a 360 view recalibration, which will be the eye sensor underneath the mirror, it is required that you run parallel to the car, down this side, down this side. If you're doing rear collision, there's pattern boards that run behind the car. So therefore, when we're looking at how big of a bay area do we need something around 12 feet wide, and we need something around 30 feet long. The reason it needs to be 30 feet long is because women these days have luxury trucks. They don't haul anything in them, but they pay a lot of money for them, and they've got all the sensors. So they've got front crash sensors, they've got lane departure warning, they've got braking, they've got rear collision, they've got the fancy 360 view. So when you calibrate a truck that is a 4-door truck and an 8-foot box, you need 30 feet. So as you're thinking about doing calibrations, think about the size of the building, the bay you have, and what vehicles do you want to take on for calibrations. When you're doing blind spot indicators, you'll actually run a plumb line from the rear of the car, front to rear, and you're going to measure 127 inches to the left and 127 inches to the right. So in this position, this vehicle is equipped with blind spot indicators. We could not calibrate this vehicle in the position it sits because we couldn't get 127 inches out the back of the car. It would actually have to come forward. So here, part of your kit, this is what they call a front calibration plate. This simply will hang out in the calibration frame. This is used when you are programming Nissan ACC, Adaptive Cruise Control, which is the radar behind the front emblem. That's what this little box is used for. This gray box here actually runs off of a 24-volt plug, slides into your calibration frame. This is a radar box. If you're doing an Audi and you're backing the vehicle into the calibration frame, it's got lights onto it. The lights will light up and the radar will actually activate the radar for a rear collision warning. So that's what this gray box is used for. It's a radar box. This here is what they call a reflector. And there's multiple settings on that reflector. This reflector is used to calibrate ICC modules in a Nissan which has a radar behind the bumper. So if it's an older Nissan, this is what they call a radar T-tool. It's designed to slide up underneath the bumper. This notch will go into the module, and you will actually turn this to number 1, turn this to number 1, you'll turn this to number 2, you'll turn this to number 2, you'll turn this to number 3, turn this to number 3, and that's actually what you're doing when you are calibrating the ICC module, which is behind the bumper on a Nissan. Inside this little box, they're mini reflectors. They're a one-time use. And what you do with these is you actually will take this and you will stick it onto the bumper so that they reflect back and forth as you turn your radar module. So this is a reflector, and this is part of your kit. Yeah. No, 17 and 18 is behind the embryo. So this handy dandy little box, and this handy dandy little pole. This pole again works off of a 24-volt plug, okay, which comes with it. This is your night vision calibration. So when you're calibrating night vision, you use this box and you use this pole. This is called the radar pole. So when you're doing a front radar, like you see here for ACC, Adaptive Cruise Control, you're actually going to use this pole. It's going to sit in front of the car so many inches, and then you will activate the radar, and this will is what you use to program your radar. We're actually going to use this pole and program this front radar this evening. Inside this big black box is all of your OEM targets. Okay, so if you have Mitchell, Identifix, ALLDATA, and you punch in ADAS, Automatic Driver Assistance Systems, you will actually be able to print this off your printer. You'll actually be able to get out a pair of scissors and measure this and cut it, get a piece of cardboard and glue it to it, and then you can get out a tape measure and you can tell your stand here, and hold this like this. You can actually do ADAS recalibrations by making your own targets and making somebody stand in front of the car. These are OEM targets, which are permanent targets. They have magnetic plates on the back of them. On this T-bar, these will snap into place. And we're going to use this. We're going to use this tonight for the camera behind the next to the mirror. And what we'll do is we set this up dead center. And we activate the camera, we move it to so many millimeters to the right, we activate the camera, and then we move it to the left, we activate the camera, and then our calibration is complete. So you go ahead and take this off, and we'll start with that. So that is some of the components of the calibration frame. Said I don't have the Subaru board with me, but it is as large as this. You also get Nissan, Mazda, they're in your package with the other targets. Back here in this box, and we'll be using these this evening. This is a wheel clamp. This looks like it goes to an alignment machine, and that's because it does. It works the same way. Here in the center port, we're going to stick a laser, and we're going to hook this onto the rear wheel, and we're going to shoot that laser up here to this calibration frame, and we're going to make little red dots up here on these red targets. And we're going to use those red dots in order to take this frame and square it to that vehicle. And then we're going to flip these little plates up to the mirrors, and we're going to shoot laser beams to the rear of the car. And again, we're going to use this frame, and we're going to twist the frame in order to square it up to the vehicle. Your rear clamps, when we shoot the lasers backwards, they got to be close, guys. They don't need to be pinpoint, accurate, exactly the same. They got to be close. All of your calibrations are going to say, you'll see this in the software, plus or minus. So sometimes when the radar pole comes out here, it may say plus or minus 6 inches, plus or minus 3 inches. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Once you get the calibration frame squared, these come off. They have no use in any calibrations other than making sure that this calibration frame is square to this vehicle. So with that, we're going to get started. We'll activate the software, and we'll start to see how the software works to complete a calibration. So inside our vehicle, plugged into our OBD2 port is our J2534. When you're doing calibrations for automatic driver assistance system, you need a pass-through device. We just throw that up onto the dash, and then here we'll activate our. So we start with diagnostics, and when we looked at the 906 TS, we saw the same purple diagnostic tab. What's different with this one? It says ADAS inside the diagnostic tab. That is an indication to me that this scanner has ADAS software installed in it. So here, under our diagnostic platform, in the upper left, we see that we've got a blue button called Quick Bin. So we hit Auto Detect. So now what it's doing, our scanner's going out and picking up off of the PCM to bring information back. So we know that this is a Toyota. So this window that popped up here, this is your collision software. It's a standalone diagnostic or repair order. What's important with this screen is that however you're going to pull your information from the cloud, because after we do our pre-scan, we're going to have to do a post-scan. In order to do a post-scan, we have to pull the information back from the cloud. So whatever you put in here, repair order number, customer name, last 5 digits of the VIN number, that is what you're going to use to pull your information back from the cloud. So we'll just do toy rod for Toyota. We're in Rochester. We hit OK. It's now going to go out and go into its regular diagnostic mode, which here is our VIN. Say, yep, that is a good VIN number. Where are we built? We are built in the United States. We are a Camry. And here it's looking for the engine. So if you open up the hood and you look up next to the identification tab, you're going to see a tag that says A25, FKS, others, radar cruise. Do we have radar cruise? We do. We know that because underneath the emblem there is a radar, so we have radar cruise. And then we have to tell it, do we have a smart key, which is just a key fob, or no smart key, which is you have the key that sticks into the ignition switch. So without smart key. So now here is all of our information. We know that it's correct. Now that we can go into our diagnostic menu. So up on the screen, First box, diagnostics. So if you just want to do diagnostics and you want to read an engine code and you want to see what's available, what's out there, what's maybe out there for ADS codes, you can do a diagnostic general scan. If you want to see what's available on the vehicle for ADAS calibrations, we hit ADAS calibrations, and now it tells us what this vehicle is equipped with. We have front recognition. That is your lane departure warning, lane keep assist, or the camera that is in the windshield next to the rearview mirror. Pre-collision. Pre-collision is the adaptive cruise control, which is the radar, which is behind the front emblem. BLS, BLIS, and BLIS. Blind spot indicators, a left and a right. So this particular vehicle has two modules, and if you recalibrate those modules, that is 2 charges, because you did the left one and you did the right one. Hot functions. Remember earlier when we went in, we looked at that thing called service, and we looked at all those functions we could do under service. Well, this is now called hot functions, and the hot functions are those services based upon this VIN number. Okay, so we saw that there was 18 or 20 service functions. They now convert to hot functions, and all of those are listed for what we can do with this vehicle. Here's your programming. So if you want to do it and do J2534 programming, and your pre-scan. That's what we're most interested in because we want the pre-collision report. So we're going to hit pre-scan. And we're now going to go through, and it's going to scan all of the modules that are in the car. So it'll do the engine module, the ADAS module, it's going to do the transmission module, it's going to do the airbag modules, and it's going to do all of your ADAS modules. It's going to scan your power seats, it's going to scan for radio codes, it's going to scan all of the modules that are in the car. The same way as your 906TS will do the same scan. You'll notice up here in the upper right, the battery voltage is 11.9 when you are doing ADAS calibrations. And this thing has been in the body shop and it's been moved from place to place to place. The key's been on, the key's been off, okay? You're going to see that the battery's going to wear down. If you start an ADAS calibration and the battery drops below 9 volts, your calibration is going to fail. Get yourself a battery tamer. You can snake the leads up through underneath because the hood will need to be closed. Hook it to your battery. Put the battery tamer behind the wheel and your battery will continue to charge, or it'll maintain clean voltage so that you can perform your ADAS calibration. So we are 100% scan, and here's our pre-test, would you like to add photos? So here you can add 5 photos prior to doing anything. So if it comes in and it's got a dent, a dent or whatever you want, and you want that as part of your records, you simply say yes, your camera will turn around, and you can take a picture, and it will add it to your report. So you can add up to 5 of those. Here, if you look at the screen, you now see that it will flag out what systems are part of the ADAS system. Okay? Your 906TS that we were playing with earlier, this one here, with the collision software that is in this tool, it will report the exact same way. If it is an ADAS system, it will tell you when you scan it with this tool. So we don't have, if we had fault codes, it would show fault codes to be able to, like LPA, lane keep assist, lane departure assist. We can say okay. Goes in and it's going to give you a bunch of information about it, and then it'll actually go in and it's going to open up the module, and you will see that we should have live data, special functions, read codes, and clear codes.
Chuck, question. As we're, say, for PDR tax or body tax, we know that we need to pull the bumper, pull the headlight to paint the fender. Yes, we can do a pre-scan and we can see that it has ADAS codes and that, hey, it has the front camera or whatever. Is there software or information somewhere that tells us that when we pull this bumper off, we are going to have it recalibrated?
If you disconnect the module, you have to recalibrate it. It will lose its
Let me reiterate my question then. Is there something that tells us if there is a module in that bumper on that specific vehicle or
So
somewhere
when we
else?
first scanned this, and it come up ADS calibration,
Yep.
and we said yes, and it come up with 4 modules. So it told us at that point that we had a camera, it told us that we had an ACC radar, and it told us that we had 2 blind spots. That's all the ADS that is equipped with this car. So as you scan different cars, you may have 6, you may have 2, you may have 1.
Does it
But
tell you
how do
that?
we know that pulling that bumper off is going to unhook that module?
You're gonna have to figure that out when you pull the bumper off.
Yeah, but I think what Dave's asking is there an area where you can, before you get to all that, show the insurance company, per Toyota's guidelines, when I pull this bumper, it's going to require me to calibrate it. So they know, right, that's what you're looking for, is a documentation.
Do I have to go to all that?
Right, because-
Toyota to get this information?
So,
Right.
that information is not in this unit. You would have to rely on your Mitchell, your ALLDATA, or your Identifix by researching the ADAS calibration for what happens when you remove the bumper. Okay, that information is not stored here. Basically, what this is telling us is that we had 4 calibrating systems in this vehicle. We have 4 opportunities to perform calibrations.
But doesn't give us the supporting documentation that we need.
Correct, whether the module is part of the
Right.
emblem or if the module is behind the bumper.
Right.
And we're just pulling the bumper and we're not disconnecting the module. So it doesn't tell you where it's at or what it's connected to, so we would have to rely on all
Right.
data.
Or whoever.
Identifix.
One of those.
Or,
We're
right.
constantly ask for that documentation. Or, well,
Because after I get done with them with a $6,000 hail estimate, they don't want to come back for a calibration supplement, so I would rather cover everything.
Right, understand. So inside the module, we have triple codes, live data, and active test. So your live data is live data, just as if the engine was running and we were in the engine module. Active test is your bilateral control. So there's your lane departure assist buzzer. As you know, as the vehicle is drifting, sometimes the seat vibrates, sometimes the steering wheel vibrates, sometimes there's a bell that goes off. That a special function would give you the opportunity to turn that function on and off to make sure that that function itself is working. So once we've done our pre-scan, we know what we've got to go fix. We physically will hit car over car that's up here. And we disconnect. And now what that's done, it's compiled all of that to pre-scan and it's now sent it off to the cloud. So there it's going to sit until you come back and you do something with it. So now is the time where you're going to repair your vehicle. And now we're going to come in and now we're ready to do our post-scan, do our calibration. So up here on the top row, next to all, there's a history button. So we hit history. What the machine now does, it goes back out to the cloud. Because everything that I've ever done with this scanner is now sitting out there in the cloud. Until I erase it from the scanner, it'll still be in the cloud, it won't be here. So you see right here where I put our toy rod, okay? So the vehicle is now repaired. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on that. I'm now connected to the cloud. You see up here in the upper right, there's a diagnostic button. I click on that diagnostic button, and I'm now reconnecting with the car. I've now connected with the car, and I want to do my ADAS calibration. takes me into the ADAS module. So this is where we're going to start with the front recognition, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, and we're going to open up the software. So the first thing that comes up to you is says, okay, we got to make sure a few things have been done before we can proceed. So did we replace the windshield? We've got to do the calibration. Did we repair the camera? You got to do the calibration. Did we adjust the position or the body of the camera? Did we run our DTCs to see that it was present? So we said, yeah, we've done all of that. Now let's go on to the next step. So here is what's important for somebody that is a calibration center and you've got everything sitting out, and it says, these are all the tools that I'm going to need in order to perform this function on this car. So you can go out and you can gather everything that you need and you can lay it up in front of the car or beside the car and get it ready. So it says I need a CSC 0600 calibration frame. That's that big thing that's out there up front. So we have one of those. We need a 601/15 target board. So we get in our target board and we find one of those. And we stick it on our calibration frame. And then it says, oh, we're going to need the 602 target holder. That is this T-bar. So we have that in place. And then we're going to need 2 wheel clamps, which you see that he's already installed on the rear of the car. We're going to need 0500 02 lasers. Those are the 2 lasers that he's stuck into the rear clamps. And we're going to need a tape measure. So on the front of your calibration frame, it comes with 2 tape measures. They are in inches and they are in millimeters because remember, it comes from Europe. Everything in Europe is done by millimeters. Everything done here is done by inches. So your tape measures have both. And they grow legs, and they are replaceable if you should lose one. Okay? So now we know what we need. We can go on. Okay, so this is an important piece of the software right here. It is showing you picture A and picture B. Picture A, you can see that the front wheels are on the ground. That's telling the software that the vehicle and the calibration frame are on the same level. If there's a car here, we need to do a calibration, and you slide this rack out, pull this car on, slide this rack over. So you can see letter B indicates that your vehicle is sitting on a rack, and that we need to complete a measurement. So if we hit B, it's going to tell us to get our handy tape measure and measure the height of the rack. Because what it's going to do, it's now going to change the settings in the software so that it knows the height of the vehicle and it knows the height of the calibration frame is flat on the floor. So you can use a rack if you need one. So we are A here on the floor. So the next thing that it comes up on the measurement, it says here, I had a box that is in front of my car and I want nothing inside that box when I perform my calibration, and I want my vehicle to be 1.5 meters or 59.06 inches apart. That is a critical number. So you're basically going to take your tape measure, you're going to hook it up to your, you can't reach, and you're going to measure across, and we are 59 inches. Okay? So you're measuring from the front of the car to the front of your calibration frame. And that box, like we said, that box, I don't want nothing inside that box. So when we get ready to take the software, and we're going to be moving this target, we don't want nothing in this box. Okay? So if you got kids running around and you're in the middle of calibration and it's over here and they run by, it's going to go beep, no, failed, and you got to start all over again. Okay? So it's important. Rear blind spot indicators. Okay? You've got a box that is 127 inches this way to 127 inches that way to 127 inches that way. It doesn't want anything inside that box. So when you're setting your car up, and you've got people running your other mechanics, you're in the body shop, and you're doing your calibration, be sure they don't cross in your box when you're doing your calibration. So we have 59.06 inches. We say yes, we do have that. So then here comes a list of materials or items. And here on the screen you can see it moves up and down. And I said to Autel, you need to put a big arrow up here, saying you got to read further. Because guys get down here to the bottom and then they make sure if there is other wording. So basically what it's telling us, make sure your car is in park, make sure that the oil is full, make sure your engine coolant is full, make sure that your gas tank is full, make sure that you have a spare tire, that it's not missing, make sure that there's nobody in the vehicle, ensure that there's no extra loads, so you don't have 50 pounds of dog food sitting in the back seat. So it basically wants a secured vehicle, and because we're doing the front radar, be sure your windshield is clean. If your windshield is dirty, your calibration will fail. You don't have to clean the whole windshield, but you got to be at least 18 inches around that camera.
Good enough.
Have a nice day.
Then it says, be sure that your VCI is attached. And then it says, be sure that your calibration frame is secured. And then you got a video and you got a help. And you'll see this on every manufacturer, on every calibration. If you hit video, it's going to show you a video on how to calibrate your car. If you hit help, it's going to take you step by step. So we're going to hit help so that we can put Mr. Dan to work. Okay? So here it shows, we can tap that, and we can blow it up, and it says, hey, what I want you to do is I want you to level your calibration frame. So on all of your pieces, on the big board, on all of the pieces that you see out here, there is a level. They want you to level the calibration frame. So you can see that we pre-started this earlier and that our wheels are up off of the concrete and our calibration frame is level. So that's step number one, be sure that we're level. So then we go to the next page and it says, hey, be sure that we've got our distance in between. There's nothing hanging off of the calibration frame. That our frame is secured. Let me say next page. And this is done on every single vehicle. So when you're like me, you've done multiple of these, you know in the beginning, I got to do this. It's going to be level. Chances are it's going to be in the same place every time. So your leveling is going to take minimum time. You're setting up your rear lasers. You know it's got to be done. So this is going to take us and again tell us to set up our rear lasers. So here it says attach the rear wheel clamps. And then it says to turn on the rear lasers. So what we are setting up our rear lasers, this needs to be in the lowest position. If you have it in the highest position, what you're going to find out, your lasers are going to miss the targets, and then when you go to shoot them back, they're going to be shooting at the top of your door.
At what point do you take on the front of the car and measure? Is it the center of the emblem where the radar is?
I come right off the bumper.
Okay.
Because you got to remember your plus or minus. Okay?
So that 59 inches was a plus or minus number?
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct.
I thought that was a hard. Yeah, right.
No. Well, remember I played with it a little bit. So there is power to go up and down. There is a hand crank. So when we turn on our rear lasers, if you look towards the yellow toolbox, you'll see that our lasers are pointed high. And all we do is just you're just going to take these and we're going to just take and twist them down so that they fall onto the red tab. And all that is doing is it's now going to give us a reference as to how the calibration frame sits, too far left or too far right. So what we're going to do is, the magic number is that we want these to be pretty close to being the same. So we just take our caliper, see how this moves left and right? So what we're basically going to do, yeah, we're too far one way. We're going to have to move the frame. So I'm at max adjustment, and you'll see that I'm at 150.
I thought about the one that got down
So
there.
that basically is telling me that I've got my frame too far one way. And I cannot make the adjustment by making the adjustment with the bar, because the magic number is 150, okay? So basically by turning this, you can see that I'm at max adjustment, okay? So when we pulled the car in, we had the calibration frame level already. So the magic number for most cars is 150. It's going to be just shy of 150.
And you want it the same on both sides? 150 and 150.
Close to 150.
Right, but I mean, the
Yeah,
numbers should
we're pretty
match
good.
on each side.
Absolutely.
Ricky's, huh? Still level? We'll check that.
Yeah, good thinking.
There you go. So you're just over, so you're pretty close right there.
Make sure it's still level.
So all we're doing is just trying to adjust, so we're halfway between 100 and 150, we're halfway between 100 and 150. So again, we don't need to be to the millimeter, you're plus or minus an inch, okay? So we're pretty close. So don't spend all day trying to make that perfect, because we're just trying to get centered up, guys. It doesn't have to, we don't want you 4 inches off, okay? But you can be, you know, half an inch. So the next thing you do is we flip these plates up to become the mirrors. And our object is what we're
I would
trying to do.
imagine,
Right?
because that would
Is to
throw
get that laser
in and
That's
out.
what they're doing right now.
back on the
Oh,
Because the laser's shooting back at that target now.
Okay, so there's a knob that he's going to turn, which is going to turn the calibration wrong way. He's going to turn the calibration frame this way. Okay?
huh.
So again, when you if you hit a max adjustment, you're just tweaking your frame just a little bit. You should have more, don't you? Take the here.
This would probably be the benefit of marking out where you want your wheels or having a rack, right?
Well, if you can get this pretty square, and when you drive in, these adjustments should be minimum. So once you get these pretty close, okay? Again, you don't have to be to the millimeter specs, all right? Now you can turn the lasers off and take the rear clamps off. That's the only purpose, is to be sure that our calibration frame is getting squared out pretty close to how the car sits in the back. So once they're pulled off, they're done. They serve no other purpose.
So is there a time if, say the laser on this side is above the line, and the other one on the other side is below the line, is that going to matter?
No, because you adjust your height by moving your laser up and down this way.
So you would,
That's what we were doing, but when we started, we were
No, I
hitting-
understand.
Right, yeah, right.
so you would do it on that end?
That is
the laser.
correct.
Gotcha.
That is correct. So again, it serves no purpose other than making sure that this is somewhat straight to where it is.
Coming off.
And center.
Right, correct. I had that. Why did you notice that? He said, my laser is bad. Then you notice that the laser is rated. He said, now the laser is now that we're squared to the car, we go next. And this is just showing us again what we already done, which was shoot back to the target. So you see the point here. This is done on every single car. You can skip a lot of this once you know your measurement. Because you know it's the same procedure for every single car. It's the measurements that's different. So next, calibration frame is properly placed. Turn off your lasers, remove your rear
We
tire.
just did the same for every car. So you know it, you don't waste your time reading it.
What would be really cool is that on a track system on the wall,
So then we go to exit, and there's
on the floor, then it's always level.
on the
Have a dedicated, have an 80,
On the
yeah.
back of the calibration frame, there is a ruler, okay, which, that's probably hitting the frame.
It's that.
It's hitting the frame. There you go. Okay, there's they're not really meant to be portable, and I beat this thing up since October in the back of a pickup. So what it's gonna tell us next is we're gonna actually go in, we've done our setup, we're now gonna go in, we're gonna do the calibration. So we're gonna hit OK. So still make sure that your frame is properly level. You say OK. Now it's saying here I want target 60115. Remember that's the target that we originally got out of the box. On the back of this T-bar, there is a red mark. Okay? This is dead center. That is where we need to start. And that is what it's telling us here, is that we need to start at dead center. And then the next thing it's going to tell us is that on this little ruler back here, which is in metric, it's going to tell us how high this calibration frame needs to be in order to see that. Yeah. Okay. Make sure we're level.
Huh?
Okay.
Gotta be in the Toyota hat.
1,350 millimeters. That is the required height for this target
Oh, so it's,
in order to
hook a
calibrate
drill to
that
it.
camera.
See.
So this is down on the floor because our car is on the floor. And now we measure out 1,350 millimeters.
So can you check the feed and get it on rack?
Yes, sir. So when we go to do the calibration, we're going to move and we're going to see this because once we start the calibration process, the calibration process, each move has got to be done within 3 minutes. Okay? So on the back of this T-bar, there is a metric measurement. So here we're starting at dead center. And when we hit go, then it's going to tell us to move over here to 350 millimeters, I believe. And then you're going to hit go on your scanner. Yep. And then you're going to move over here, 350, I moved that, 350 millimeters.
Muscles.
Okay, and then it's going to tell you that calibration is going to be complete. During the whole process that you are calibrating this, nobody can be in the box. If something is in the box, it's going to throw that radar off and your calibration is going to fail. Okay? So set us up dead center.
So you basically have your scanner back here with you moving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah. The only reason we have it here is so that everybody can see the software.
Right.
You know, I did one and I was holding it and I was walking around the car. I was out on Long Island and everybody was piled in. I was like, man, it's a little claustrophobic in here. And then somebody walked in front of the car and the calibration failed. You guys got to start all over, you know. So I make it a point, as I have tonight several times, stay out of the box. So we say, okay. Now,
Just a question, I'm sorry to interrupt. When you say it failed, you have to start all over, but you've got everything in position.
yeah, we just got to go back on it.
Just this, okay, gotcha. You
So-
just have to go back to dead center.
So, if you guys are quiet during the calibration, you're actually going to hear the camera come on and move and calibrate. So if you're real quiet, we'll actually hear that.
Cool.
So,
Listening.
engine up, or key on, engine off. Next. Okay, so you see here where it's now picked up from the radar, or from the camera, has now picked up the distance and it's picked up the target. If you are outside of the allowed plus or minus, those numbers will become red and it will not allow you to go any further. Okay, same if you are doing a blind spot indicator. and you have measured out, and you have your radar pole sitting over here, and it picks up the radar signal. If it is outside of its parameters, it will flip red, and you will not be able to calibrate. Okay, so now here we go. We are dead center, correct?
Yes, sir.
Here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that one is good. Go to 550.
550.
And over to 550.
What the hell?
I'm looking to see if there's a smudge on the windshield, because it don't.
There's nothing reflective behind it, right?
No, it'll hit that. It'll hit that, but it knows where to look. It knows to look at
Right,
550.
but doesn't it say if there's anything reflective or anything behind it? Like it's not.
Black and white, black and white. Yeah, it's a possibility.
It might be.
Yeah, so you can't have a checkered floor, you can't have checkered walls, you can't have a speckled floor. I had a guy in Boston, he called me up and he says, I'm building a brand new shop. When I get it built, I want you to come do a demo for me because I want to start doing this. So he built this big, beautiful body shop. And I walked in and I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous, the waiting room. And I said, where do you want to do these? And he walked me out through
The black and white.
entire body shop with a speckled floor.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that.
Calibration. You gotta tear it up or you gotta do something. You can't. It's kind of a beautiful room and the floor is all that speckled and it was sealed with that sealant.
Yeah.
And Autel, when they have a training center in their facility in Long Island, and their floor was black and white checkered. And when they brought in, they ripped the floor up and they put a treated grade and poly. Okay.
Go. Good. Good.